Brodes Media.
I have never seen tickets so low in my life. Brodes, tell me. Tell me where you see them. Okay. Tickpick. Sixers Raptors Saturday night. Excuse me, they're how cheap? Right now. There's no excuse. Go to Tickpick and check out Sixers, Flyers, or if you're not from the area, your local team. Because you will be stunned and in disbelief when you see the type of numbers thrown your way. $34, $38, $39. And before you think, well, I might not want to sit up top. I want something up and center, something super close. We're talking about the 100 level, ladies and gentlemen. And what if I told you not only are there great prices right from the rip to begin with, but you can also use code BRODES10 at checkout for $10 off your purchase. Oh my, it just gets better and better. You have no excuse. Head to Tickpick right now and support your local team. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. It was a rough 48 hours for the 76ers. My God. And it really is all about what transpired in Chicago. Because if you don't blow that massive lead where you can't get a bucket for what felt like 8 hours, and Joel Embiid is taking one-footed jump shots fading away, and ISO ball made me puke, and it was just egregious. And if that didn't happen, and you held on to win, even if Chicago made a little push here and a little push there, equivalent to what the Sixers did against the Cavs. They made a little push here, a little push there, but ultimately, the Cavs were in control. It wouldn't feel this nasty if they got out of that with a 1-1 record, winning in Chicago with a nice win, heading into that matchup. You guys had the same record. Would have been nice. And then you chalk up the second half of a back-to-back with, what are you going to do? No Embiid, no McCain, travel, getting in at a crazy time, legs are hurting, dogs are barking. It was a scheduled loss. But now it's just, yeah. But here's the truth. This all goes back to what's the expectation heading into the year? And it's a weird transition for us as a fan base. It was always about championships and nothing else matters. Now, it's about watching the journey. And there's going to be uncomfortable stretches and bad games. And I'm curious how we are going to react on a day-by-day basis knowing that's the case. Because it's easy when they're 5-1 and they're beating up on teams. And even it's easy when they face Boston on Halloween at home. And they scrap. And they give you something entertaining. And they had chances to win it at the end. And even if they fall, you can at least appreciate their effort. And, you know, it's easy to get excited about VJ when he's balling out. What happens when he starts to hit a wall? And truth be told, he may have already kind of hit that wall. And yes, that opens up a whole new can of worms because Nick Nurse is getting crucified for his minutes and his rotations and his moves throughout the game. First off, you can't get a field goal in a billion years. I got to look at the coach and go, what are you doing? Are we asking Joel Embiid to be the savior? I thought we were done with that. I actually thought Embiid played a nice game before that fourth quarter. It was in rhythm with the offense. Then all of a sudden we play that stupid ball late. Dumb, bad, horrible, awful, tragic. That's on you, Nick. And then I'm watching Oubre and VJ and Maxey log 8 million minutes when they were getting blown out against Cleveland. So many layers to go with this. So before I even saw Nick Nurse's comments post-game, and he kind of said, you know, we're trying to change maybe some of the problems with last year's team, and we're trying to build an identity here. And it all reflects back to how Tyrese Maxey said he wanted a standard, and he doesn't care if they're up 20, down 20, doesn't matter who's in the lineup that day. You know what you're getting with 76ers basketball. So Nick Nurse, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along those lines, and that was sort of my instant reaction, is how do you juggle this if you're Nick Nurse? Because if Maxey wants to take the throne and be the franchise leader, and he wants this energy to be soaked into the walls and installed into the 76ers locker room, then don't you actually need to act accordingly and don't give up? If you're getting blown out, I don't care. You were blowing out who? Oh, that's right, the Bulls a day before, and you lost. You had an incredible fight back against the Celtics. Even though you fell, there's something about that pressure you put on teams, even if you're down big. And they actually made it pretty close there at halftime until the Cavs, the third quarter, it made me sick. But my point is there something to the long-term gain with the identity of Sixers basketball? If you're down big, but Maxey's still out there in the fourth, and it doesn't matter if he plays 38 minutes because you're creating something. And it's fair to wonder, because if you give up and you wave the white flag, are you creating a culture that is okay with giving up? But at the same time, VJ Edgecombe, he said something to the media a couple days back. I heard Kyle Neubeck say this, that, man, it's a grind with this schedule. Dude, there's 82 of these bitches. There's 82 of these motherfuckers. What are you at, 10? So VJ Edgecombe's already starting to feel it. Don't you need to find a way to balance that? And you could say he's 20 and Maxey's 24 and blah, 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 and they're young and they should be able to move. Yeah, it's a grown man's league. Every night you're going up against 6'8" grown men. There's just natural wear and tear. And you're going to feel it if you're playing that much. So how do you balance that with the attitude that you want to play with? And that's on Nick Nurse. And clearly, he's miscalculating this a bit. And is Paul George's injury playing a role with what he has to do with Oubre? And is his rotations weird? Because some nights he has Embiid, some nights he doesn't. The Barlow injury's out of whack. Yeah, I'm not telling you it's easy. It's discombobulated. But I think we need to find a happy medium. Because I'm all on board with trying to change the narrative and change really, like, league-wide, the perception of how the 76ers play. There's no off nights. You see the Sixers, you're getting it. You're getting snarl. And if they're down 30, you're getting snarl. And they're going to fight. And they're going to throw punches. And they're going to try and do everything to muck the game up to get back into the action. I admire that. And I love the fact that Maxey wants to take that with the full head of steam. But that's where Nick Nurse comes in and goes, we appreciate that. Got to take it down a notch. And instead, he's almost pushing him to the brink. And it kind of reminds me of when Doc Rivers was here. And I know everybody hates him. But one of the things he stated about Max is this guy is so obsessed, I have to yank him off the floor during practices, during open gyms. It's not even a practice, not even a scheduled practice for us. This guy's just out there wired to get better and better. You got to get some shots. No, you don't. You don't have to get some shots. You just played 3 games in 4 nights. Your body's hurt. Take a day of rest. It's going to help. So it's not an easy equation, and it's a good problem to have, that this is what Maxey wants. But Nick Nurse has to do a better job. And truth be told, I don't even know what Nick Nurse is. I think he could be this tactician and be creative defensively and this and that. But, man, some of these offensive possessions, and not even just possessions, but it's halves and games. I'm saying it's not just like, oh, that was a bad possession. It's like, that was a bad 40-minute offensive game. There's no structure. There's no nothing. What are we doing? I'm getting too much of that as of late. But maybe it's because guys are tired. Guys are fatigued. And that's concerning if it's this early in the season. But, you know, that's kind of what happens when you run guys into the ground. And it's not ironic when you think of Drummond, Watford, right? I mean, there were some sequences there. Well, they don't have to rely on Andre Drummond a bunch. So you think in the second half of a back-to-back, he's got a little bit more juice. He's got a little bit more oomph. There's a little bit more pop in his game because he's not running around playing 40-something minutes. You know what I mean? Watford had a nice how do you do there. The workload has been through some of these younger guards that we admire, but is there something to that? I don't know. Oubre, you look down 38, 39 minutes. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I know something that can calm you down after getting a little aggravated with the basketball team. That's cannabis. And you know I love my cannabis over at Camden Apothecary. Oh, man. And Camden Apothecary is every Philly fan's first choice. Philly fans, when you're choosing a dispensary, you want three things: convenience, quality, and fair prices. And Camden Apothecary checks all the boxes. Located just minutes over the Ben Franklin Bridge with ample free parking space, Camden Apothecary is built for fans on the go. Their team prioritizes your experience, so you're not just another customer, you're part of the community. And the product's always top quality. You're getting the best cannabis around at prices that are actually fair. No gimmicks, no inflated numbers, just the real deal. Whether it's pregame, postgame, or any day in between, Camden Apothecary is the stop every Philly sports fan should be making. Convenient, friendly, fair, Camden Apothecary. Cannabis done right for fans 21 and older. Tell them Brodes sent you for 10% off. So not only are you getting the best cannabis on the market, but you're also essentially getting free cash in your pocket by just letting them know, hey, Brodes sent me here. And like, oh, dude, we got you all hooked up. So don't be a fool. Camden Apothecary. Make sure you get over there today. All right, we got some anytime hotline calls here in regards to the Sixers. Do I have any more points before I want to take calls? Listen, I didn't see a couple things here. I didn't see them blowing that lead to Chicago coming. And the reason why I bring that up is Spike does a great job with his Rights to Ricky Sanchez pod and very active with Sixer stuff during games. And I like picking his basketball brain, obviously a sharp basketball mind. And he kept pointing out, and I don't know if it's just a bit, or I don't know if it's just because he's sort of scarred as a Sixers fan, but during the game he goes, this is going to go bad. I'm just waiting for something to go wrong. I'm just waiting for this to get nasty. I'm watching and I know that the turning point is going to happen and I'm going to get upset. And I didn't feel that way at all. And I even said this statement to myself when I looked in the mirror afterwards. I thought they were better than this. I thought they were farther along than this. But at the same time, I go, well, why? If you're going to praise a youth movement, bro, shouldn't this be part of that? And the answer is yes. But with Maxey and how much he's developed over the years, I thought he would stop that from happening. And I'm not saying he's wrong to not, and I'm not saying these type of losses don't happen. They do. They do. If we're going to praise them being down in the fourth quarter and them winning multiple games when they're down and having late surges, that means the other teams in the league are blowing leads all the time. You know what I mean? So it happens, but I didn't think it was going to happen on that particular night. I didn't feel it in my bone marrow. So that's why it was a bit shocking to me. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And with that, it brings up the Joel Embiid thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. He's obviously very, 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 very limited on the defensive side of the floor. He does things. See, the way I kind of interpret this, especially that first game of the back-to-back, sometimes he does things that just annoy me. From a basketball player perspective, who's been in the league for as long as he has, there's a difference between stupidity and dumb basketball, and then he's giving you everything he has. And I'm a big defender of him, and I say he's clearly limited. He's giving you what Embiid is. Don't get mad at him that he needed 97 surgeries and 7 different orbital bone surgeries and thumb surgeries. And this is what the man has left. But then he just makes bone-headed decisions and stupid passes, and they think they're up big so they can fuck around. And then here comes a run, and Chicago and the Bulls fight back, and he's just making stupid decisions. And you know, there's a difference between, hey, he can't move defensively. And what the hell was that pass when you're trying to throw it over your head backwards, backflip, between the legs, alley-oop to yourself? And obviously I'm taking it to an obnoxious level, but man. So I try to digest the difference between the two. That's just idiotic and dumb, and you should be so far past that in your journey of professional hoops. That is a bad decision. And guys are going to make mistakes, but there's a difference between making a mistake and having a turnover, and then some of the things he does. But at the same time, then I watch him and I go, the guy can't move. What do you want him to do? And then I hear fans say, get rid of him. I don't want him anymore. Well, if you know he can't move, and if you know he's not worth it, and if you know you don't want him, why would anybody give up anything for him with money attached to him the way that it is? He's here. It's finding out how to make this work, and I don't know. Sometimes it's aggravating, and sometimes I think he looks okay. And I honestly feel what transpired in that fourth quarter where they couldn't get a damn field goal is more on the schematic side of things and what they were trying to do more than it is Embiid's a bum. But then again, Embiid should realize that this isn't going to work. I can't be playing hero ball and jab stepping and, you know, like that. I'm not that right now. I'm not that. What we were doing was working. But then, of course, what happens in the first quarter compared to what happens in the fourth quarter, it's a different game. Guys don't play defense. You could see that. Trust me, man. The Sixers, when they don't want to play defense, yikes. Yikes. When they don't want to give effort on the defensive floor, my, oh my, is it rough. All right. Let's take some phone calls on the Anytime Hotline.
Yikes, man. That was a rough loss. You know, I think down the stretch of the game, once the team just, like, they went away from their identity. You know, they are a fast-paced team. They were doing great in the first half, and early in that third quarter, just going floor, you know, getting shots up. Maxey obviously pushing the tempo. I thought he was amazing through the first 3 quarters of tonight's game. But what a disaster down the stretch, man. I feel like this team should not be just feeding the ball to Joel down the stretch. This is not this type of team. Okay, this team needs to be playing through the guards. I don't know what it is, but like the past couple times you've been crunch time, VJ Edgecombe has like not gotten the ball in the clutch at all. I would have loved to see some more plays dialed up for him, as well as the other guards. I know we had one to grind slate, but like I just don't know if Embiid is quite there yet. I don't know if we have that from Embiid this year that we had 2 years ago, man. Tough one to swallow. Hopefully we get a win tomorrow. It's definitely going to be tough, but go Sixers.
I appreciate it. So that call and the calls I'm going to play here are mostly from the big blown game because that's where a lot of fans were fired up. Now, I agree with you. Look, I don't think that it's an Embiid thing anymore. Now, I'm not saying you can't ever utilize it because I do think he's going to have games where he is on. This game, he was just completely off. And there's going to be times where he will have some big shots and you can rely on him more. It's just not at the rate that it once was. With that said, the VJ Edgecombe thing, though, I think there's a reason why. And this is no knock. This is not saying he can't have a big night, but look, what makes you a superstar in this league is what he did on game 1 in the TD Garden, dropping 30-something points. That's every night. And now that he's a few games into the league, teams have a little bit more understanding of what they want to do on how he plays the game, what he's limited at, what his weaknesses are, what his strengths are, how they could take some of that away, how they could put pressure on him. And if he's going to mention to the media that there's a lot to be said about the way this schedule is, listen, this ain't Baylor. This ain't college basketball anymore. It's you're flying to a different city every night. You're going up against 35-year-old men. You're going up against guys that are going to understand what your deficiencies are. And they're going to attack and force you to be uncomfortable. And trust me, long-term projection, I'm all in on VJ Edgecombe. But in regards to a night-to-night closing out games, fourth quarter, clutch, 38 points, 36 points, unbelievable, dominant, all the time without any hiccups, that's just not how it's going to go. So you got to prepare yourself for VJ Edgecombe to go through this bit of awkwardness. And listen, same applies to Jared McCain now. Jared McCain was super intriguing when he was doing his thing. He didn't play 82 games. And by the way, he's recovering. Then he had the issue with what happened this year. And he doesn't know what a gruesome full schedule is like. So even the McCain expectations need to be dialed back a bit too. He's got a long way to go until he kind of finds his rhythm. And then he's going to be dealing with traditional young player stuff too, on top of the adversity that he's dealing with. So it keeps going back to, I wonder what this is going to feel like as the Sixers continue their season, when they get to game 30, game 40, game 45. I'm really curious from a fan view how this starts to sort of marinate with fans on a night-to-night basis. When they're back and it's the first 5 games and they look fun, exciting, fast, and all this, it's easy for us to kind of wave the pom-poms and get behind it and have some fun with it. But it's going to look different. They're 5-3 right now. And when you look ahead at some of these games here, Saturday they host Toronto. I did this already before. I think I did this the last time. I looked at some of their scheduling throughout the month of November. They got the Celtics again, Pistons a couple times, the Clippers, the Bucks, the Heat. But yeah, listen. It's not going to be what it was throughout the 82 games. And I think it's starting to just hit us a little bit. That's sort of my point. Back to the phones.
Well, worst loss of the season. I mean, the last 6 minutes of the games we were playing so ball where only Embiid and Maxey touched the ball. The other 3 guys were scared to touch it. Our offense totally went to shit at the end of the game. It was literally give it to Maxey or Embiid. No one would move at all. It would just be standing around the 3-point line, and we would force up a horrible shot. I mean, you just can't lose games like that. I still believe in this team, but man, that offense was maybe the worst offense I've seen in a 6-minute stretch at the end of a game. Just can't lose games like that, man. That was in our hands, played well for most of the game, and just fumbled.
Not only did they play great the rest of the game, that was one of their best halves. That was one of their best starts to the game, putting up 40-something, 70-something by the end, go, wow! And then all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. And yeah, I mean, the reason why it stinks so badly is you can accept losing the second half, even if you get blown out, rest some guys, whatever. You did your job. You took the first one. In a pretty big matchup, by the way. I went into that game thinking the Bulls on the road, away from your home crowd. They had a nice start to the year. And then they kind of get shot out of a cannon and dominate and look so smooth and look so tremendous. And you go, whoa, that's a big, 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 big statement for what it's worth. For as big of a statement as you can have in early November. If you just punched him in the mouth, bloody nose, 2 black eyes, kick him in the testicles, make him bleed out, you go, whoa. So, just changes the mood. Now, something you said was, I still believe in them. What does that mean? To what capacity? To what level? And that's ultimately what I'm trying to grasp at here, is you still believe in them. To what level? Fun basketball? Making the playoffs? Losing early? Making the playoffs? Making a deep run? You know? Because that obviously all sounds ludicrous to me, but to what end? What does you still believe in them mean? 45 regular season wins and a nice gritty effort in the playoffs to watch some of the youth grow? Because that's probably the most realistic. And of course, no blown lead in the regular season will ever change that as my standard and my bar. But man, this is a strange time to be a Sixers fan. On one end, it's glorious because last year we were robbed of the sport in totality. But on the other end, the end goal is so bizarre. The end goal is so unknown. The end goal is weird. You can ask 15 different people what you think is fair, and I think you might get 15 different answers, which is crazy. And it shows you the shift, because if you ask those same 15 people the same exact question 2 years ago, one answer, one goal, one objective. But then they're also fun. And I also think Maxey is turning into like maybe an all-NBA guy, like a serious guy at 24 years old, with so much ahead of him with the way that he's wired. And how much do I look at that as the priority? Which trumps all about, you know, like the Embiid stuff. I don't know. But here's what I do know. I love DraftKings. And all your favorite NBA players are back. And DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. New customers bet just $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass. Plus, score $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Brodes. That's code Brodes. Bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass. Plus, get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Pass-through with per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Alrighty, let's take another call.
I'm normally not here to talk shit about one player in Philadelphia, but I will do this to the day he's off the team or the day I die. I fucking hate Joel Embiid. I hate him. I sold his I used to love him. I had a jersey. I sold it for $10 at my yard sale because that's how low in value I think he really is. He sucks. He's the reason why we lost to the Bulls. He doesn't understand how to fucking shoot. He turns the ball over and he leaves the center for a wide open go-ahead three. And the Sixers, the message is you guys are stupid. You guys draft all these good players and you want to work on speed, but you keep Joel Embiid in. Like, it needs to be fixed. It just needs to be fixed.
I appreciate the call. I appreciate the passion. $10 at the yard sale is crazy. I understand why fans will be upset with Embiid after his most recent efforts. That was as ugly as it gets. And it definitely hits a nerve where we've seen this story a billion times. He can't close out games. And again, I think that that's probably more on Nick Nurse than it is Joel Embiid, because you got to comprehend that we're no longer in a position where we hand him the basketball and say, go make it all happen. It's a totally different identity as a team. If I'm going to give you appreciation to say that you want it to be up 20, down 20, it doesn't matter who's on the floor, you're going to have grit, then you're acknowledging that there's an identity change. Well, there's also an identity change with how we need to operate in the fourth, because Embiid just doesn't have it. With that said, though, there is no getting rid of him. There is no just benching him and putting him on the bench. There is no he's no longer a part of this anymore. There is none of that dialogue. He's here. He's here. It's figuring out how he's going to be a part of it. And maybe this was an assessment thing. Not telling you I like it, and I don't even know if I'm buying it. But I'm just trying to figure out maybe why they went this path. Maybe just flat out incompetence by Nick Nurse. But could it be this was almost, hey, let's go back to the tape. And when something happens 8 games from now, and Embiid gets a little fiery on why the fourth quarter went a certain way, let's go back to the tape. Remember this? Remember how long we went? Remember that stretch? Couldn't get a field goal, couldn't get a bucket. We were desperate. Okay. This is why it happened this way in Charlotte. This is why it happened this way against the Pistons. This is why it happened this way against Boston. This is why it went this way against Milwaukee. You wanted it. We gave it. It didn't work. Done. Again. Do I think he's using this as a, I'm going to stick it to you, Embiid, for the next time you complain about maybe the way we're operating the foot? Absolutely not. I think this is pure vomit just kind of flowing out my mouth. But I try to find answers. There's a reason why I do shows on the radio, and it's called Detective Brodes. Once in a blue moon, we do Detective Brodes, and we go, why? And we have one of those boards, and we try and make everything kind of align and see who's in the crosshairs, and how is this related to that, and how is this related to this, and we do this whole game. That's kind of what I'm doing here. And sometimes some of the things we come up with are ludicrous. And you realize that, that was a little far stretch. But okay, we can eliminate that. I'm sort of feeling this is an elimination thing. But I don't know. I don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Does Embiid feel he needs to be incorporated more during certain... But at the same time, like, Embiid was actually playing pretty well that game. But things changed in the fourth quarter. And then ISO ball and decision-making and turnovers and... I mean, everybody deserves blame during that. That's a team thing, too. That's like a serious team thing. So I got something going on in my eye here. I don't know. Can't see. My brain hurts trying to consume basketball. They get a couple of days here to reset. And they get to come home and play on their home floor after. So maybe there's something to be said about, getting back, kind of hitting the reset. Maybe a little feisty Nick Nurse going up against the former organization, trying to stick it to them. I believe the Raptors at this current time are sitting around 500. So they could win. They sure as hell can lose. By the way, 500. I mean, the Sixers are 5-3. So they're right there with them. You get a chance to stick it to the old franchise. Hey, where's Paul George, by the way? Anybody know? Am I crazy to say that Paul George is out there practicing nonstop? Not getting in any games, though. Of course, just because you practice doesn't mean you're ready, but let me Google this. I want to know how... Oh. Okay. 22 minutes ago, I just Googled Paul George practice. See what pops up. Spike Eskin tweeted this out. I know most people don't care if he plays or not, but it's very strange that Paul George has been full practice participant for a month after having a scope of his knee in July and has not played yet. Almost reading my damn mind. What are we doing? In what world? What are we... That opens up a whole nother can of worms. See, now I'm getting a little... My toes just went like this because I'm getting all mad. And I don't even know what he is. But this is crap. Full participant for how long? And you can't even get yourself on the field? That's a flat out disgrace. I'll tell you what's not a disgrace. Amelio cigars. Old school roots, new school attitude, locally owned. Third generation, made at Fabrica Oveja Negra, Nicaragua. These cigars, oh my God. My mouth waters. My mouth is just filled with saliva when I think about these cigars because it's everything I could have ever imagined and then some. You can use promo code BRODES10 at checkout for 10% off your entire purchase. It's a no-brainer. You could take these to the park with the family. You could take these to, a nice little, let's say you're sneaking in around the golf, even though it's kind of getting close to that time, but you want to get a last session in, a last 18 holes with the boys. you can pack the Amelio cigars and your friends will love you forever. Do not be a fool. Make sure you get your hands on an Amelio cigar today. It's the only cigar to smoke. With that being said, thank you guys all so much for hanging out with me. Go Sixers. We'll talk on the next one.